Hey everybody, how you doing? I wanted to tell you about something that I watched last night. I watched this film about the human mind and how the mind develops and advances in the human mind. Just what's on the horizon, what researchers are finding out, things like that. In case you don't know, they're actually in the middle of a project where they're seeking for the first time in human history to do a complete mapping of the human brain. Now, this is something that is pretty monumental in terms of what it means for the world, what it means for science. To compare it, it's compared to the Human Genome Project in terms of the scale of and the scope of this project. And I was really fascinated by all the things they can now do with the brain. They can now put electrodes on your head, and you can move things with your mind. They can actually take a picture of a dream that you're having. So if you see an image in your head, they're getting closer and closer to being able to replicate that image on a computer screen, which would mean that they can then take your memories eventually and put them on a chip. Excuse me, and reinstall the chip and uninstall the chip and do all kinds of things. Now, of course, this is some of this is far off into the future, but some of it isn't. A lot of it, in terms of what they're learning about the brain, it really evolves more and more every single year. And what it does is it creates a whole different world that we're living in. I think that we're moving into a world where there's going to be more effort to control your thinking. In fact, the this brain project I told you about, the Obama administration is investing. I want to say it was $1 billion in this project. It's an international effort, and I don't think that they're investing in this project to be nice. I think they're doing it so they can find a way to control what you're thinking and what you're, how you respond to the world. Now, from what I understand, again, I'm not a brain expert on this, but some of the things that they said had to do with the different parts of the brain. For example, you have the reptilian brain, which they say has evolved over millions of years. It's very primitive. It controls your ability to walk and to breathe, and it makes your heart beat, things like that. Regulate your body temperature, stuff that you don't even think about, stuff that's just already there. So that's why if you get hit by a car and you get whiplash or something, it might affect your balance because your reptilian brain's been affected. And then there's what they call the monkey brain, and it wasn't a racial kind of thing. It was just something that they use to apply to everybody. And the monkey brain is a little more advanced. It evolved later in our evolution, where it's more focused on emotions and kind of reactions. Fight, flight, sex. Hunger, things like that. And these are just very primitive, very simple, basic instincts that a lot of people have. And then you have the prefrontal cortex. A lot of that's up here in the front, and that's the part where you do your critical thinking. That's where you decide, okay, you know what? I want to have sex with that person, but it's not a good idea. Or I want to go beat that guy up, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get arrested. Or I want to set long-term goals in my life. I want to think about the future. Animals don't have the ability to think into the future, because animals don't have that prefrontal cortex component. So animals live in the here and now. They're not planning for later on. They just respond to what's around them right at that moment. So the question is, what makes you different? What makes you special as a human being? What gives you the ability to not just sort of rely on your animalistic thinking and actually have evolved thinking that puts you where you want to be in life? Well, it's your commitment to learning critical thinking, which comes in that prefrontal cortex part of your brain. And so ultimately, the ability to think critically, the ability to plan ahead, the ability to make disciplined choices, that all is something that must be developed and nurtured. What I really see in our society is I see a lot of people who don't do a very good job, or are not, or someone else doesn't do a very good job when it comes to training them to use that part of their mind. You're not going to develop your critical thinking skill by sitting in front of the TV all day. And you'll see a lot of people, like, watch this, like, watch people, whether it's in terms of how the influence of media or the way people might act in church or anywhere else, or when it comes to sex. A lot of it's very emotional based. A lot of it's very, like, oh, I just felt it, so I did it, or that was a great speech because he just made me feel good, and I eat this poisonous food because it tastes good, right? Everything is based on just, or I had sex with that person because it feels so good. Next thing you know, I get, whatever, issues going on because I chose to have sex with the wrong person. I got this, this baby, and I don't even want this baby because, this girl, she just seduced me into sex, right? So ultimately, basically the conclusion of all this is to say that you can't just rely on your monkey brain when it comes to making decisions. And I'm not talking about this again. Not this ain't a racial thing, because this is literally something they use to describe all human brains. But you can't rely on just your emotionality and your instincts when it comes to making important decisions in your life. You cannot just live in the here and now. You must live for the future. And people who don't develop critical thinking skills, that's what they'll do. They'll live for the here and now. They don't have critical thinking skill. They'll just react based on emotion. They'll just do what feels good in the moment. And next thing you know, your life is falling apart and you don't know why. So develop those skills in your children. Develop those skills in yourself. Because I'm going to tell you this, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. Again, the government is investing a lot of money in understanding the brain and how to do things with the brain. Don't think that they're not going to use that to manipulate you. Don't think they're not going to use that to start planting chips in people and monitoring people's brain waves and controlling our minds through television and other things like that. This government has shown, all governments around the world, a capacity, a desire to engage in population control. The United States and China specifically have done lots of things to control the thinking of people. And now that they've got the science to back it up, we're entering into a very interesting phase of human history. And I just think that if you want to be ready for it, you're going to have to make sure that you hold it down up here. So don't go through life following the crowd. Don't go through life letting people brainwash you. Go through life with critical thinking skill. Question everything. Question me. Question anything that you see, and practice engaging in the kind of critical thought that will make your brain strong and capable of building the world that you want to live in, and not the world that you just get, or the world that just happens to land on top of your head after one bad decision after another. That's all I really want to share with you. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School. Please take care. God bless. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.